Welcome to this video on amino acids. What is an amino acid? Amino acid has a central carbon atom and 4 groups that come off of this central carbon. The first group is the amine group, which is NH2, and this accounts for the first part of the amino acid name, amino. The second group in an amino acid is the carboxylic acid group, the COOH group, and that is why an amino acid is called an acid. Thirdly, there is a hydrogen atom bonded to the central carbon, and then there is an R group. The R group defines which of the 20 amino acids it is, and there will be a few examples given in the next slide. The different R groups are important in forming the bonds that give the protein its tertiary structure, and we'll see how this works later on in the presentation. There are 20 common amino acids in living things, and they only differ by their R group. Here we have the amino acid glycine, and if you recall from the previous slide, we said that amino acid was broken down into 4 parts around a central carbon atom. Here on the left hand side we have the amine group, or the amino group, which of course is NH2. I'm just going to also label that as the amino part. Here we have the hydrogen, and on the right hand side this here is the carboxylic acid group, which makes this amino acid, this makes this the acid part of the amino acid, which means this bit down here is our R group. And in the case of glycine, the R group is just a hydrogen atom. Now over here I'm just going to draw another amino acid. So again, the carboxylic acid group, here's the amino group here, but now I'm going to draw this amino acid with an R group of CH3, and this amino acid is called alanine, and we can see by these two different amino acids that although their structure is almost the same, their only difference in structure is the R group. Dipeptides are formed from 2 amino acids. We're going to use the 2 amino acids from the previous slide, glycine and alanine, as an example to form a dipeptide. So let's first of all draw glycine. Here is the amino group of glycine and the hydrogen, and then the carboxylic acid group of glycine, and then the R group, which in the case of glycine is hydrogen. And here is our other amino acid, alanine. Here's the amino group of alanine. Here's the hydrogen. Here's the carboxylic acid group of alanine, and here is the R group of alanine, CH3. Now, when these 2 amino acids form a dipeptide, they do so under a condensation reaction, which means water will be formed as a byproduct. The water comes from the OH on the carboxylic acid and one of the hydrogens on the amine group, and we can see that this forms H2O, which of course is water. So when these two amino acids combine, we have COONH, and what I'm drawing here in green is what we call the peptide linkage. or the peptide bond. And then we have the rest of the structure. Here our glycine with the hydrogen R group. And then here our alanine, carboxylic acid, and the CH3R group. So that's how a dipeptide forms. And let's not forget also the water that is created as a byproduct, because this is a condensation reaction. So just to summarize this slide, we've seen how when we take glycine and alanine and they undergo a condensation reaction, we can form a dipeptide in which water is produced as a byproduct. This happens because the OH group from the carboxylic acid and the hydrogen from the amine combine to produce the water. We've seen how dipeptides form. Polypeptides will form through a series of many condensation reactions binding amino acids in a long chain. So let's just imagine this is one amino acid, and here is our dipeptide link. You'll have another amino acid forming a dipeptide, and then what can happen is more amino acids can join the chain through a series of condensation reactions. And as this chain expands to sometimes tens of amino acids, sometimes hundreds of amino acids, or even thousands of amino acids, we can build up our polypeptide. Thanks for watching this video on amino acids. Please like and subscribe below.